host, Sean Aaron, and welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. This show is a platform where trans men of color voices can be amplified as we share our transitional stories and many other issues that are relatable to trans men of color in our existence. This show is not only to amplify our voices, but to raise awareness and conversation around our lived experiences.
My next guest I had the privilege to sit down with. He is a hospice caregiver, a hip hop head, a bourbon enthusiast, and he loves cigars. He was also a part of the love, sex, and relationship conversation that first aired back in December. Throughout this episode, we talked about hospice. We talked about his job as a caregiver. We also discussed self-care and different ways in which one can maintain their self-care. And towards the end of this episode, he also gave some great resources for LGBTQ caregivers and also for trans men of color who are seeking caregivers to help take care of them after their gender affirming surgeries. So I hope you enjoy. Hey, this is Sean Aaron, the host of Dem Bois Podcast. Are you enjoying the podcast so far? Great. I'm glad that you are. Would you consider donating today to help support the continuation of this podcast? As you know, this podcast aims to serve as a platform to highlight and amplify the voices of trans men of color and share our transition stories. The podcast not only aims to amplify trans men of color voices, but it also raises awareness around our lived experiences. You would like to donate? Where can you donate? Great. I'm glad that you asked. Link in our description will take you directly to Network for Good, whom we've partnered with in order to collect donations for the podcast. Or you can visit our website. On the website, click the donate button, and from there, you are able to donate directly to the podcast. All donations are tax deductible. What does the donations go to? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Your donation will help to support our production costs. We are working with Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions that brings you this awesome content. And also, we pay our guests an honorarium. Pay our guests an honorarium? Yes, we do. Why? Because as trans men of color, we would like to support and uplift each other and honor the time that's given out to come here and share their stories. So if you love this podcast, share and donate. See you on the next episode. Take care. Wait a minute. Before we continue, I must make this quick little note. Today is Wednesday, March the 1st, 2023. And coincidentally, today, March 1st, that when this episode is being released, my next guest is celebrating their 1-year transition anniversary. So what does that mean? So that means 1 year ago today, March 1st, they started T. So I want to take this moment to celebrate my next guest. I want to tell them thank you for showing up and being vulnerable and sharing their truths and their story and their journey for everyone to listen. And I also want to say congratulations on your 1 year anniversary and starting your journey. I want to say I'm grateful for you to being your authentic self and walking in this world in the ways in which you would like to. So let's get into this next episode. Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his, and my next guest is a hospice caregiver, a hip hop head, and loves bourbon and cigars. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I do. My name is Naya'Hri Suhalia. My pronouns are also he, him, and his. And like our good man Sean here said, I do love hip hop. I've been into that for a long time, probably since I was a child. Just really all kinds of music, but hip hop is my favorite. Former writer, journalist, former poet, and all kinds of other former isms. And cigar aficionado and bourbon connoisseur. So if anybody wants to know more about whiskey, let me know. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. But most importantly, the thing I love most that I'm really proud of doing at this time is the fact that I do work in a hospice. So basically, long story short, my job is to pair vetted and fully trained volunteers with our patients to give the patients a sense of social interaction, and so that they don't feel so alone. The patients and the volunteers will do, whatever it is that the patient wants to do. Sometimes it's painting, sometimes it's watching television, sometimes it's music, sometimes it's just silence. And they just like the fact that there's someone that's in the building or in the room and that's close to them. So it's my job to make sure everybody gets along and gets together, and that we all get that the patients get the chance to spend out the last of their time in the way that they see fit, in the way that they love. So that's what I do.
We're going to definitely get into that more in depth. That definitely takes a different kind of person to do that. So just to go back a bit, your name, how did that name choose you?
Ooh, this is a good one. My very short stint in college, which I was not successful at, I had a instructor whom I had grown very, very close to. And one day I was in her class, and she just before the class had began, she had told me to stay behind because she had something she wanted to tell me. I'm thinking, it's something about my grades or anything along those lines, because I wasn't a very good student, which is why I wasn't very successful in college. And she pulled me into her office after class was over, and she said, "I had a dream about you. Don't freak out, but I heard you being called by something, and it just struck with me, and I just need to tell you." And I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" And she said that name. She said Naya'Hri. And I said, "Well, where does that come from?" She said, "I don't know, but that's your journey. You have to figure out what that is because it has something to do with you." So the more and more I began to look into it, the more I found, several different things that that all tie together, but are also different. But they are all based around ancient Africa. So, but also, like you're talking about, Egypt, formerly known as Kemet, and then also Nigeria. Now, in the Yoruba language, it won't show up as Naya'Hri, it'll show up as Nayo. Nayo means we have great joy, or we have joy, whichever way you want to, put it. And so it turned into a variation of that name in later centuries. But in the beginning, it was Soul Survivor, and it is from a very, very heavily unknown God's wife, what they used to call women pharaohs. And there's so much about Egypt that is still unknown, lost, don't really have that much information about it, not really going to find it in a book. And if you do find it in a book, very few books, not something you're really going to see online. And this is one of them. Rumor has it there was a God's wife. She was excellent military strategist. She was a great artist and a wonderful orator and stunningly beautiful, but she almost died at birth because she was a breech. And so, but she survived. And so her mother gave her that name. So she was such an amazing God's wife that little girls who were born also in difficult births were given that name as well. But any sort of records about her are pretty much almost lost. There are no more statues or anything that exists for her. Her tomb has been raided God knows how long ago. So all of that is gone. There's very little information left about her, but what the little I was able to find out, it just really stuck with me. And I was like, yes. So then it began to make sense why my professor gave me that name, because she was also from Egypt. And the more she told me her own personal story, the more it just really began to make sense. So it found me through her, through the way of a dream. And since it's a dream, I try my hardest to live up to it. Most days I succeed, some days not so much, but yeah, that's how it came to me. And it's pretty much, it's stuck ever since.
Wow, that is powerful. I've never heard someone say that their chosen name came from someone else within someone else's dream. That's definitely something I've never heard. It's like a meant to be, like destiny. And it's a good thing also that the instructor didn't just brush that off and actually pass that message on to you. We don't realize how powerful our dreams are.
I was very close to her. I was closer to her than any other professor that I had at the time. So much so that we kept in contact long after I dropped out of college. We kept in close contact right up to her passing 5 years ago. And, I don't know why I was so drawn to like, I want to be your friend or, anything like that. But we just always, we had that connection. I had that connection with her. I had that connection with her wife. And I loved them both very, very dearly. Some people you're just meant to meet and you don't know why, or there's no rhyme or reason or any kind of real big sense to it. But it doesn't matter because some things we're not supposed to necessarily know the answer to. Some things you just accept as truth.
Mm.
And you usually, if you're really in tune with yourself, you will know what those things are and when that time comes, if you know how to look for it.
Definitely about being in tune with yourself. Definitely.
Yes.
So tell us your transition journey from beginning until now.
Okay. I actually love this, but I I was always the different kid, right? I was the kid who hung out with, their older brother and their friends, and luckily for me, I gained my brother's respect by being such a tough kid that he was like, "Yeah, you can hang with us because you pretty much can take care of yourself. I ain't really gotta look out for you too much." While at the same time going stark raving mad if anything ever happened to me, the boy would literally flip his lid. So he was like, "Take care of yourself, but uh, don't make me have to kill somebody because I will." It was that sort of thing, and I love him for that. Um, and so I always just thought it was because I was a tomboy, and I was the kid who had to wear shorts up under the dresses because I was like swinging upside down from trees and all kinds of other really great things. I am a late bloomer. I didn't really start acknowledging things about my sexuality until I was about 15. And even then, it was more of me being, I presented very femme. I did initially identify as a lesbian, and I presented very femme, but I hated it. And the only reason why I did it was because I felt like that was what I had to do in order to attract the type of person that I wanted to be with. Because I wasn't seeing other masculine identified people being together unless they were men. But as far as like women went, I never saw that. And it didn't exist to me, or at least it didn't exist openly to me at that time, because we're talking about the 90s, when we were as out and proud as we could be for the time, but we still had a long way to go. You know what I mean? You remember? So I still felt like this wasn't it, but I had no other way to identify. Um, I didn't know really what it was to be trans. I had, at the time, never met a trans person. I hadn't met a trans person until I was 17. I went to my very first LGBTQ church. This was when I was living in Los Angeles. It was called Unity Fellowship Church. And at the time, Bishop Carl Bean was was the pastor, and there was a really beautiful woman there, and she introduced her name as Cookie, and I was like, I've never met anybody like that before. I could tell she was different. I just didn't know how, but she was so open and so warm and so welcoming. And as soon as I got in the church, she gave me a really big hug, and she smelled nice, and I was like, this is wonderful. I like you. And we became friends very, very quickly, and that's how I, found out just through conversation that she was trans. She was the first trans person that I had ever met at that particular time. And she didn't mind my questions. I had so many, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them would be considered wholly inappropriate today. But bless her, she answered every question that I asked. And I think it was just because it was me. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have those conversations with everyone, but I was just so fascinated. And I fell in love with her friendship so much, and I adored her, and she was super close to me. And so, yes, I asked her everything under the sun, and she answered everything under the sun. And, it kind of went from there, but still really not acknowledging that I was trans. That didn't actually happen for about another 10 years. And so, and it happened when I was initiated, because I follow the Ifa spirituality, which is known as an ATR, or African traditional religion. The day that I had my head shaved, I had to keep it wrapped for 24 hours, and I had to stay in isolation because you never know what you're going to be feeling in those first 24 hours. So when I went to the beach the next day, released my hair, all of my beautiful locks, I was like, oh, my hair, damn, that I have to give it up. I released it into the ocean, and I looked just like you. It was all gone. And it was during that time that I just started hearing voices. Now, I don't mean hearing voices as in illusions or anything of the sort. It was just hearing this voice that it really wasn't saying anything in particular. It was just there. And I couldn't figure out what that was. So I asked my elder, the Ianifa, who shaved my head, I said, I keep hearing this voice, and it sounds deep, and it sounds rich, and it sounds masculine, and I don't know where it's coming from, because I'm just looking at all of my dresses now, and I'm just like, nah, I don't want to put none of that shit on. She was just like, okay, well, so then don't. And she said, well, why don't you pay attention to it? Make some offerings at your altar, talk to your Orisha, talk to your ancestors, and see what's happening. And I began to do that. And the more and more I began to do that, the more and more I began to realize something's up here. I'm different, but I still didn't know how yet. And it was my wonderful godmother who brought me my first suit. And I actually got my head shaved in her living room. She was wonderful, and I wish she lived long enough for me to make a documentary about her, because we could have a whole conversation just on my godmother alone. That could be a whole podcast, her story. She was the first one to refer to me in a masculine way. When I put on my first suit that she brought for me and got it tailored for me and everything, and I came out in it, she was just like, oh shit, boyfriend, here we go. And I was like, wait, what'd you say? But it felt so good. And the fact that she knew how to say it, and it disarms you, but it makes you laugh at the same time. So I was just like, wait, what? Oh my God, you are nuts. So it was like that. She was so proud. And so, we went out that night, and she was on my arm the whole night. And of course I'm going to have her on my arm because she's my elder and I adore her. And she was much, much shorter than I am. And she just looked up at me with such pride and such love that whole night. We went to hear some live jazz play. And that's the first time I ever went out in a suit and hear live jazz. And I just felt like, from the Harlem Renaissance, I felt so elegant and sophisticated. And I was just like, I think this is starting to click, y'all. I think I'm feeling something here. And then by the very next year, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I reside now. And for a while, I identified as genderqueer because I said, I know I have a female body. I'm actually okay with it. I'm not dysmorphic. I don't have dysmorphia. I thought that also didn't make me trans because I wasn't feeling like I had dysmorphia. It would be many years later until I found out not all trans people experience body dysmorphia, and it doesn't make them less trans. But at the time, I didn't know that. So I held on to, well, I'm genderqueer, but I'm feeling more like this than like this. And I didn't even know what genderqueer was. Sorry if I'm all over the place. It's just that I just remembered this part.
It's all good.
At Occidental College, 2007, they have a a conference that they do every year from Project 10 of Fairfax High School in Los Angeles, California, called Models of Pride. And it's a conference that they do every year. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I know they did at the time. It's a queer youth conference, and it's really great, and it's free for the kids, and everyone can come. At the time I was adult, so I went where the adults went to go to the workshops, and I came across this workshop that was called Gender Queer Revolution. And it was facilitated by someone who now has become another very good friend of mine. You see a pattern here. His name is Dr. Alexander Yu, who still lives in Los Angeles, still practices there. And I'm listening to everyone, and I'm hearing them ask all these questions, but nobody was asking the question that I needed the answer to. So I was like really shy and opened up and raised my hand, and he called me. I was like, so what happens when you know what your body is and you're okay with what your body is, but you know that there is something else that's there and you're still trying to figure that out? Does that make sense? And I thought he was going to look at me like I was nuts, but he just looked at me like, that's actually a really good question. I like that. Thank you for asking that. And I'm going to tell you the answer. He just started talking. People were actually interested in what I had to say. I didn't feel crazy. I didn't feel silly. I didn't feel stupid. And so I said, well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I am. Maybe this is it. And it led me to get more and more involved with his organization. I still am an ambassador of sorts in the South for Gender Queer Revolution. Even though I am trans, I love Gender Queer Revolution, and I will always be grateful for that organization. So I continue to represent them to this day. After that, I moved. That was the last thing that I did in Los Angeles before I moved to Charlotte. And here was very different. And I knew that was going to be a thing. As far as like a Black genderqueer or Black trans community, it was there. But if you weren't already a part of it, good luck trying to find it. When it came to Black trans men, that was even more of a unicorn, because we were around, we existed. But it was so difficult to find. It was just a big, huge culture shock for me, moving to big, huge city where you can trip, you could trip on your front porch and you already know that and find something to do. Whereas in Charlotte, North Carolina, you had to go looking because the community was not as visible. So I pretty much spent just a lot of time to myself, just trying to figure it out. And one day when I was 35, I actually wrote a one-man comedy skit about this, because most people have this, sort of big dramatic reveal and moment when they find out that they're trans and all of these other things. Nope, here's what happened. I went into a mirror, I went into my restroom, and I just looked in the mirror and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna say it one time. I'm gonna try it out. And if it works, we gonna rock with it. But if I'm not feeling it, we ain't gonna bring it up again. And I was just like, just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I'm trans. Yep, that's it. And I walked out the mirror. And from that day forward, I said, yep, this is what it is. Because it just resonated with me and it connected. And whenever I would tell people that, they would just immediately start laughing. They were just like, dude, you have to write about that. So I actually did wind up writing a little skit about that I had performed at a couple of universities in North Carolina. Because I guess it just resonates with people. It wasn't the big, huge emotional reveal or anything like that. It's so simple. People are just like, well, that was it? So people laugh about that, but that was my thing. That was my life. And by no means did I think it would be easy, but I didn't think that it would be what it was. The pushback that I would face, being quote unquote trans enough, right? Because I wasn't I wasn't going through any gender affirming, hormone therapy at the time, and didn't want to. Matter of fact, I was vehemently opposed to it for many years because I had a point to prove. Because I was going to because I told people, no, you're not going to tell me how trans I am as if it's up to you, right?
Absolutely.
All of our journeys are different and all of our journeys are valid. So fuck the gatekeeping and fuck you for trying to do it.
Absolutely.
And so I've made a lot of, I don't want to say enemies, but they definitely wasn't homies. I did piss a lot of people off here for quite some time. I did. I would go to these support groups and somebody would say something and I wouldn't be afraid to challenge it, and I would just I would take up space and I would disrupt it. And I'm pretty sure that it made it to be not a safe space for some people. And for that, I've had to make atonements, but in the same sense, being directly or indirectly disrespected was something that didn't make the space safe for me. So if it ain't safe for me, I really don't give a shit who else is safe for. So everybody can catch hands. That was me. So,
oh damn, you giving people hands in the meeting? Oh no.
not
I know
I
what you
wasn't
mean.
about
I
to
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I mean, I could, but I try to leave them days behind me because I was
Yeah,
a
I
really
got you.
rough kid. But we ain't got to talk about that because that ain't prevalent to the journey. The journey's right here. So anyway, yeah, I did disrupt a lot of spaces online and in Facebook and whatnot. But at the same time, the more that I did it, the more that I found allies in ways that I never would. I didn't expect to find so many Black, cisgender, heterosexual, heteronormative allies, and I certainly didn't expect them to be men. I expected that to be my biggest, challenge, and I expected that to be my biggest enemy, and it wasn't. Um, the men that I've met, they now act like my Secret Service agents when we hang out together. They love me very much and they welcome me and they teach me about brotherhood. And I appreciate that very, very much. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't so loud and, disruptive and taking up space. Because I had to put myself out there somehow in order to get back what I wanted. And that's how it happened. And it led back around to, my father being very open and welcome. I came out to him New Year's Day of 2017, and I was so scared. But he was like, "Oh, hun, catch up." I knew. And, you know, he's been so good with pronouns and people ask, wait a minute, what happened to your daughter? Didn't you have a daughter? He was like, nope, I'm talking to my son. And he tell people that all the time. He's so good at learning and asking questions and being held accountable, and which I don't really have to do that much. And I'm really grateful for him. And going back to the older brother who basically is a Rottweiler on two legs, he has really, really shown up and out for me for a while. We had a really rough relationship, not necessarily because of my gender or my sexuality. That had partly to do with it, but most of it was just because of other things between he and I. But this year was the year. 2022 was the year everything just sort of really turned around for me because I told him, hey, I'm going on hormones. I'm going to look different. Yes, I know mom still lives with me, but I need you to know that. And he actually started to cry, which I didn't expect. And he was just like, all I've ever wanted was for you to be my best friend. And maybe this is the way that we can start. And that was his response. And so he's been very great. He wished me happy Pride Month at like 8:00 in the morning. He was like, yo, I just want to wish you happy Pride Month. I was like, nigga, it's my day off. It is 8 a.m. It is 5:00 in the morning for you. Why is this the thing that's on your mind? He was like, but did I do good? Yes, you did good, bro. I love you. You know what I mean? So he always just wants to know that he is doing okay. And so, that's pretty much where I'm at now. I just have a really great circle of men, both trans and non-binary and cisgender, who are, queer, bi, heterosexual, whatever else there is out there. I'm old. I can't keep up with all of these things. I'm sorry. It's been really great to have that sort of camaraderie that I can come into my own with and start my hormone therapy with, which ties into what this podcast is about today, because I started on March 1st, 2022, the beginning of International Women's Month. I started testosterone. And it was something that I just felt like it was time. I felt like I was ready. I felt like I proved my point, as far as, being an advocate for everyone who didn't necessarily fit into, you know, the binary of what it is to be trans, or the right, whatever on how to be, I felt like I had said fuck gatekeeping enough from that aspect. And I said, now it's time for me to say fuck gatekeeping from this aspect. But I'm still going to be saying fuck gatekeeping, because that's still the whole thing, fuck gatekeeping. Yeah. But around the same time, my own mother was starting to go through a transition with her memory and declining health. And so even though I started testosterone in March 1st, by June 16th, my mother had been diagnosed with vascular dementia. And what the vascular dementia is basically when your brain has a series of strokes, mini strokes over years, and it eventually erodes the brain. It's like washing away sand. It's like how water eventually washes away sand. Beaches are only still beaches because they actually have to import that sand from somewhere else, because beaches get eroded all the time. Funny thing that I learned that thanks Discovery Channel, but it is exactly the same thing. So the strokes eventually, they erode the brain over time. And this can go on for years. With my mother, it had been going on for what they can estimate. We'll never know for sure, but we can roughly estimate that it's been at least 10 years since this had begun happening to her. And so what happens is that by the time the person starts to show signs, it's too late, because that is a result of the irreversible brain damage that has been done. Now, of course, the question is, well, how can you have a stroke and don't know it? Happens all the time. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why it's so difficult to catch is because people have mini strokes in their sleep when they don't even know it. And so when they wake up, they don't feel a thing, even though something is different. And that's what happened with my mother. And once she got diagnosed, it just seems like it was just a rapid decline after that. We had to have a game plan of how to stop the strokes. Because if she had another stroke, there was no telling what it would affect. Because each time you have a stroke, it affects something. First, it will affect your memory. Then it could be your mobility. It could be your ability to eat. It could be your ability to read, to write. The first thing for her that was a major decline was her continence. She went completely incontinent overnight. And that was really hard for me because I was working. I had these long hours. I was still trying to figure out this new job that was a hybrid, and I was the first person to ever have it. And I have all of these, stressors going on. And then I would have to leave my mother at home for 13, 14 hours a day because I had no one to help take care of her. So I was just at work, just filled with paranoia and anxiety. And so when she became incontinent, of course, this became worse, because I would walk in the door and have no idea what I would be, walking into. And it just got to a point where it was so stressful that I was just starting to be in a very bad place mentally, because I felt like I was failing. I felt like I was failing her and I wasn't doing enough, and everything I was doing was not enough. And she was just deteriorating right before my eyes, having to deal with all of that at once, and still having to remember to take my own shots every Tuesday and make my own doctor's appointments. So her journey, her transition, and my transition were very much synonymous, because at the same time I was going through this transition of mine, she was going through this transition of hers. And the very first thing I thought was, shit, did I make a mistake? Am I being punished? Because this is happening and it shouldn't be. Maybe I should stop. All of those things were things that I was initially thinking. And the game-changing point, the day that, she had her second official MRI, She had her MRI by that 9 a.m. that night. By 9 p.m., she fell out in the living room here. And thank goodness I was home, but I live on hardwood floor. We live on hardwood floors. So I hurried up, called 911. They said, well, she seems to be okay. If you want to take her to the ER, we can, but she should be all right. I was like, no, let's take her because I don't know. It could be something that we don't see, something internally. So we were at that ER till 3 a.m. and they were getting ready to release her back into my care. And something inside of me just broke. And I just began to sob and weep. And I was just like, please don't send her back home. It's not safe with me. I can't do it. I can't give her what she needs. I can't take care of her. I'm such a failure. I'm failing. I can't do this. And I'm just verbal vomiting to this random ER doctor in this room while my mother is peacefully sleeping next to us. And I had a panic attack. I broke down. And bless that doctor. He just held me. He just stayed with me. And he just let me get it all out. And he was like, it's okay. I'm going to help you. I'm going to get her a bed upstairs. We're going to do everything that we can. Don't worry. You're doing fine. I said, how do you know I'm doing fine? He said, what you're doing right now, all of this emotion that's coming out, you are so worried, and that you shouldn't have to be so worried. But that's how I know you care. So don't you worry. I'm going to take care of it. So they kept my mother in observation for 3 weeks, and then she was moved into a nursing care facility, which is where she is now. And that's where we are as of right now. She is in her advanced stages of dementia. Her memory is zero. Her short-term and long-term memory is zero. She no longer has the ability to read. She no longer has the ability to write. She can no longer handle any of her affairs. I am her legal guardian now. I do have power of attorney over her. Medical power of attorney, that's to my older brother and myself. He does what he can from Los Angeles, but mostly it's just me. So anything that's going on, I have to be the one to take care of it. Her finances, her Medicaid, everything I have to do. So she no longer remembers me. She doesn't know that she doesn't remember that she's a mother. She doesn't remember that she is a grandmother. But the most fascinating thing about her is she's still so sweet. She's the sweetest person ever. She loves hugs. She loves bright colors. She loves sunsets. That's always been her favorite time of day. She loves like old school music. James Brown is her favorite. She loves gospel music. She still likes to dance. She loves colors. Her favorite color is green, even though she no longer recognizes her favorite color is green. But I do color therapy with her. Meaning every time I see her, I try to wear some form of green so she can recognize me. But she doesn't know who I am. So she calls me by the nickname, the only name that she still remembers from me, which is Boop, which is what she called me when I was a child. So I'm just a really nice person named Boop who brings her food and flowers and clothes and gives her hugs and massages and kisses and scalp rubs, every time I see her and make her feel comfortable and happy. So I'm not a stranger to her yet, but the day will come where I am. The day that she stops eating is the day that it's pretty much countdown. And from that point, it will just be getting ready for her affairs, because that's what dementia does. It just basically, it takes you away until your body and your brain give up. So that is pretty much my role as a caregiver personally and also professionally, while also going through my own transition.
So sorry to hear about your mother. I know that's you said that your transition and your mother's transition ran together.
Yes.
How did you reconcile with yourself to continue on with your own transition?
It was because of someone I had met online several years ago. He lived in Germany. He was 16. He was a great kid. And he was just trying to come out to his parents as trans. Somehow we got connected and we would talk. His English was just good enough for me to understand him. My German wasn't so terrible that, it couldn't be recognized. And he was this wonderful, wonderful kid. And I always said that I was going to be there for him no matter what. And I'd actually was setting up a surprise with his mom to come and surprise him for his birthday and hang out with him at his birthday party and whatnot. And he wound up coming out to his parents as trans. His mother accepted it. His father had a very different visceral reaction, and it impacted him very, very severely. He could not get over that. All he wanted was for his dad to love him, and his father did not. That caused him to go into a deep depression. And then the terrible, 2 a.m. my time phone call from his mother sobbing that her son was gone and she found him. And this was 3 weeks before his birthday and before I was ever to fly out to meet him for the first time ever. That always stayed with me, and it impacted me so much. And around the time that I started thinking, wow, I'm failing, I kept thinking about him and how just bright and a wonderful person he was, and how he just wanted to be able to exist, how he just wanted to be able to be seen, how he just wanted to be able to be cared for and protected and cherished and just validated, and how I did everything in my power to validate him. And I was like, damn, I really need to validate him. I really need to validate myself the way I validated him. And I really need to make his life matter, his existence in my life matter. And I can't do that if I take the same road that he did. So, again, it all ties back to dreams. That's how I got my name. It's how I got, confirmation and validation of who I was as a trans person and even as a queer person. And it's also how I got the confirmation that to keep on and not, give up. And that's what began to turn it around for me. My therapist helped greatly. Thank goodness I have a therapist who is also a Black trans man. That's very, very helpful. And I'm incredibly fortunate in that regard. And then just my older brother, just pulling me out of the dark every single time and knowing when exactly to call me or send me text messages and whatnot, and just talking to me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when I couldn't make any sense, when I was sobbing, and I could barely verbalize. Somehow he knew what I was saying. So really it was my village, both, living and ancestral, that really allowed me to sort of pull myself up out of the ashes and, sort of become my own phoenix, my spirituality, my babalaos, my ianifas, relying on my altars, my ancestors, the alekes that I usually wear. All of that played a really big part for me. But the number one thing, the very big thing, the first thing was, yes, my dear friend whom I lost to heartbreak and sadness, whom I wanted to live my life for, because he's not here anymore to do it. So now I feel the duty to do it for him.
Mm. Living through him. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, this is Sean Aaron. I'm the founder and executive director of Dem Bois Inc. I am also the host of Dem Bois Podcast. As you may know, Dem Bois provides financial assistance to trans men of color in order for them to obtain gender-affirming surgery. We have great news. We're currently looking for volunteers to help support our programs. Our programs include our gender-affirming surgery grant program and also our personal care package program. We personally curate packages filled with personal hygiene items. Just to name a few, things like tissue, soap, towels, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. We mail them out to trans men of color across the country who may be in need of help caring for their personal hygiene needs. We are looking for volunteers to help raise funds to support our programs. Also, we're looking for someone locally to the Bay Area to help us put all of the care packages together. If our mission is something that resonates with you and you would like to help support our work, just let us know. You can send an email to hello@dembois.org. That is HELLO@DEMBOIS.org. And we will get back to you with further details. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the next episode. So you were in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, I am. North Carolina.
Yeah. So You mentioned several times about being a caregiver and being a
Yes.
hospice caregiver. For
Yes.
listeners that are not sure, could you explain those two things? So, one, what exactly is hospice, and what is your duty as a caregiver?
So, hospice is a facility that falls under what is known as palliative care. Now, palliative care and hospice care are two different things, even though they are under the same umbrella. Palliative care deals with more with pain management, while hospice care basically is what's also known as end of life care. So, hospice care is what you are prescribed or administered to when you are dealing with an illness that is terminable and with a chance of disposement, basically to be disposed, which means you're going to die, basically. So hospice is sort of like that's like the end of the road. If you're going to hospice, you already know what's up. So most hospice care is outpatient, which means the hospice care workers or the hospice care nurses are coming to the home. Um, as for me, I work in the only inpatient hospice in my city. There's only one hospital that actually has a hospice attached to it. Everything else is outpatient care through agencies. And so all of our patients are patients who are there either that's where they are coming to spend their final moments, or that's where they are for an interim while their family members and loved ones prepare their home to be able to accommodate the patients and bring them home so that they can spend their final moments surrounded at home with loved ones. And at that time, then they are assigned a hospice care nurse who will actually do the outpatient care and come to the house. So again, my role as a caregiver, my official title is volunteer and social events, social director. So basically what I do, I explained a little bit of it before, which is I take the volunteers who have gone through our 6-week volunteer training and who have been tested and vaccinated and, for all of those things, because all of those are mandatory in order to be a volunteer for us, because we are dealing with people who have basically no immuno system. And so we can't just have anyone in there. You have to be vaccinated or, no dice. Um, so the volunteers who have finished, I basically gather information from the volunteers, and I am on personal levels with all of my patients. We have about 30, we usually have between 34 and 36 patients. And even on the floors that I am not assigned to, I know the name of every single patient. I can tell you all 36 of them right now. And I gather information from the patients if they are verbal or from their family members, or I can, pretty much piece together through photographs or things like that, other memorabilia that they may happen to have on them, and then take the information that I have on the patient, the information I have from the volunteer, and say, oh, this would be a good fit, this would be a good fit. And then that's how I am able to assign volunteers to the proper patients. And I think I've only did one bad match so far. Most of the time, the matches have been good. And I also do it myself because I can't ask, any of my volunteers to do something that I would not do. I usually get the most challenging ones where I'm just like, all right, challenge accepted. You're going to be with me. And I also put together social events for the patients who do want to participate and who are mobile and can still physically interact. So we'll have, live jazz nights. We'll have like 1940s music nights. Christmas. This past Christmas was my first Christmas, and I was able to get a couple of dancers to perform a couple of scenes from the Nutcracker, and it looked all magical, and everyone loved it. I had to put together a wedding for one patient who her man just wanted to marry her, and he didn't care how he did it. I'm not a wedding planner, but here I am trying to find white silk robes. I'm going down to the hospital kitchen trying to ask them if, my boy, can you make me a wedding cake? What can I do for you, sir? And, trying to get the nurses to, just get some flowers, go home, put on a suit and all these other things to get this wedding together. And she just wanted to marry her man, and she did. And that was the very last thing she did, because by the next day she was gone. But the last day that she got to spend on earth, and, in that sense, was marrying her love. And I, did everything that I could to make that happen. So that's more or less pretty much, my role is to just make sure that the patients are not alone, that they're taken care of, that they're eating what they're supposed to eat, and that they have lovely things to do in the time that they're with us, if they are in fact able to actually come out of their rooms and do those things, or take the activities to them in their room, if they are able to do that. And so far, I've had 7 patients that I was with in their final moments. So I helped to send 7 patients, over into the next realm, and I feel really proud of that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Listening to that is really, really heavy for me. I have I've always had ever since I was a child, I've always had this thing about death. It just I don't know how to process it well. So hearing about it it's really, really heavy for me sometimes. And I always be like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I was like, if somebody offered me to live forever, I would take it. Like because it's scary to me, right? And I always think of like the loved ones, and like what will my son do when I'm gone? Like what would like I always think of those things. So to me, it's really, really heavy. And so I think I want to ask you, like, me personally, I think it takes a special kind of person, and just seeing you and just feeling your energy. Like I could tell like you're one of those type of people. I couldn't personally do that. I don't have the capacity within myself to do that. I love people. I know how to care for people, but that one moment of like, I just don't feel like I would be personally the person that could do that. So my question to you is like, how do you in that, being there all day, because, like in hospice, some, you might go to work the next day and the people that were there the day before may not be there. So how do you take care of yourself? Like, what does your self-care look like?
I've had to get so good about self-care in the past year. I've had this particular job for the past year, and it's taught me self-care is so important. Number one thing that I do, and it's so easy to do, jack shit. There were some days off where I don't even open my front door. I couldn't even tell you what the weather looks like outside. I journal while I'm at work. I have an office, and I have a journal that actually was given to me as a gift by one of my best friends, also trans. And I journal while I'm at work just to get it out, even if it's just some stuff I have to regurgitate. I smoke cigars. That's probably not the greatest one. It's it's more of a vice, but I don't do it. I don't do it that often. But just to be able to inhale, the smoke with intentions, and then release those intentions out with each exhale and retrohale is very, very helpful to me. Music is, of course, always going to be a great one. And also just, not being afraid to know that sometimes self-care requires other people. So in those days where I'm like, hey, can we go to like brunch, or can we go like hang out or something like that? Sometimes self-care don't always mean by yourself. Sometimes your self-care is you actually saying to your village, I need, right? Because if you don't ask for what it is that you need, how is anybody going to know how to be there for you? And then no one's going to be there for you. And then this cycle going over and over again, where you're feeling more and more alone because you don't think anybody cares. So then you don't ask. You see what I'm saying? It's just this really nasty, vicious cycle that we put ourselves through that I have done to myself pretty much all of my adulthood. And I still have bouts with it. By no means, am I like this great ethereal omnipotence. I've got it all together on my Tabitha Brown, John. No, I'm not. That's not me at all. I do what I can every day. Every day is another opportunity to turn it all around. Some days are good, some days are trash. And that's the other one. Recognizing when days are trash. Don't try and turn it around. It's not meant to turn around. That day was meant to be trash. Go home. Go home. Take care of yourself. Eat some food. Drink some water. Have some sex if it's available to you. Have a great orgasm and go the fuck to sleep. And start all over again tomorrow. Don't take the trash that happened yesterday and bring it into the following day. And that can be easier said than done, but you have to start somewhere. So now that, these are the lessons that I've been taught, but I'm just now at a point in my life where I'm really receiving it and can actually do the lessons and live the lessons that I've been taught for a really long time. That's how I go about it. I make time for me. And self-care is revolutionary. It is a revolutionary act, just like love, just like friendships, like Blackness. All of that is revolutionary. All of it. Self-care is, and not being afraid to ask for it and not being afraid to take it. When you're a caregiver, you are giving so much of yourself. And it's really easy to forget about you because you're pouring your everything into this person. I pour my everything into my mother. Everything. If it's not at work, then the last of it that I have is going towards my mother. So I'm pouring my everything into my patients because I love my patients and I love what I do and I love my job. I pour my everything into my mother because she gave me life and because, despite any and everything that we've gone through, she never gave up on me, even if she didn't agree with anything that I was doing. And she always loved me. And she still loves me, even though she doesn't know who I am. And because of that, I give my everything to her. So when you're a caregiver, you give your everything to whomever it is that you're taking care of. And it is so easy to be depleted. It is so easy to run empty. It's so easy to, give until you can't anymore. And you don't save for yourself because, you can't. You have no time because you have to do this and you have to do that. And you can't focus on yourself because, that's selfish. No, they need me more. This needs to be more. Yes, I need this, but they need this more. That happens so easy. And it's so common among caregivers. So common. So, to anyone who would be listening to this, I think my number one thing I would want to say is that it's not selfish. It's self-care. You're not being selfish by needing a nap. You're not being selfish by needing a shower. You're not being selfish by needing to eat or stopping to drink some water or some tea or just wanting to just go for a walk. If you have the right village around you, and even if you don't, it's not selfish to take care of yourself because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of this person that needs you. So now you have to be healthy for not just you, but the person who is in your care. And if that's not enough of a motivator for you, then you're not really a fucking caregiver. Stop. Let them go to someone else because they would be better off with someone else in their care if you don't remember that core fact. And that's something that I'm still remembering every single day. So I do what I can to take time out for myself, to sleep, to rest, to drink water, which sometimes is so hard, but now I'm up to, thank goodness, 72 ounces of water a day. It took a long time for me to get to that point, and I had to do it in stages. I'm so bad at eating, so I set alarms on my phone. And every time that alarm goes off, I'm going to eat. If it's a piece of fruit, a piece of bread, if it's some snacks, if it's whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a big meal, but I'm stopping to eat. I'm dropping something and I'm going to take 10 minutes to myself and I'm going to fucking eat. And sometimes that's the biggest thing that you can do. I'm actually going to get up today, actually take a shower. Because sometimes that's all the energy we have to do. So if you took a shower this morning, good job, congratulations, you did exactly what you're supposed to do, and I'm proud of you for doing that. But that's how you do it, and that looks so different to everyone. So I can't say that there's some base core, just flat level thing that people can do for self-care, because everyone requires something differently. But all of it does require you actually looking out for yourself and knowing that you have to take care of yourself because this person needs you to be at your best. That part is the universal. This person needs you, and you love this person and you want to give them everything. So give yourself everything so that you can continue to give your everything to them. However that looks, in whatever details, the rest of it is details, but that's the number one thing. Give to yourself so that you can continue to give your everything to the people who you care for and who love you. And you're not a failure if you do. You're doing a good job. You're not failing. I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself. You're doing great. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And they are lucky to have you to take care of them. We all need to hear that.
Thank you for that. That was powerful. No, that was beautiful, actually, because we forget all the time about what it means to take good care of ourselves in whatever capacity or wherever we are. We forget. And I never thought of self-care being needing to be with somebody else. I always thought of self-care mean I'm just taking care of myself alone. But sometimes we do need our village and to call upon our village to, hey, I don't want to be by myself right now. And then my self-care includes you. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's self is in the word. So we always think it's just that. You know what I mean? It's not community care, it's self-care. Well, yourself includes your community. And if your community is good, they're going to recognize that, they're going to see that. And you may not even have to ask. They'll just be like, hey, I'm about to go to the movies real quick, or I'm about to go do laundry real quick. You want to come with me, or you want me to come and you come by, get your clothes for you, stuff like that. Oh, I'm at the grocery store. You want something? You want me to come by? I'll cook. It could be anything. Yo, I got this new bottle of Hennessy, dog. Yo, I'm about to come and crack out over there. However it looks for you people, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are Dr. Green Thumbs. If that is your thing, no judgment. I applaud you. Whatever it is, that it will at some point in time. It's okay if it includes your community. It's okay. It doesn't always have to be alone. Yeah. It can include your community too. Yes.
Beautiful. This is the part of the show where I like to ask the guests a random question. So my list is growing, and
I helped you grow that list.
You did. So for folks who don't know, you were a part of our love, sex, and relationships conversation.
Yes.
And so you did help me, and I wrote that question down. I can't remember which one it was, but I know
it was 25. I think you were at question 24.
Oh, yep,
you right. Now?
You right.
Yeah,
well, actually now I'm on 28, and I actually have.
Oh, well, mine is 25 then. I remember.
Yeah, yours is 25. I would give you credit for that. Yes, it is. And so I actually have 28, but I know what it is in my head, but I didn't get a chance to write it down yet. So I have 28 questions. You pick a number between 1 and 28, and I will read that question to you.
Well, I got to be selfish. I got to start with 25.
Oh my goodness, that don't count because you already know what the question is.
Actually, I don't remember. Actually, I really don't remember. No, I don't.
Okay,
remember.
So number 25. What is your superpower?
Yep, that's right. Yep. My superpower, humor.
Humor.
Yes. I am a big fan of dad jokes. I'm the corniest.
Oh my goodness.
I'm the corniest person you will ever.
I'm here for it. Tell us a dad joke then.
Oh man. Okay. All right. This was a really good one that I actually heard. If you're not a fan of Star Trek, this may not resound with you, but if you are, get into it. You'll freak. So, what do you call the glasses that a Vulcan wears? Spectacles. So if you're into Star Trek, you are rolling off your couch right now and you will use that, and you are welcome. Here's one that resounds a little bit more with everybody. What animal makes the sound you? Cow with no lips. It's a killing. I love it. I'm here for it. I have a whole book. I could do a whole fucking video.
I actually like that one. That was pretty good. That's funny. And I love to laugh. That's like, yeah. I don't know what my superpower is. I think my superpower is I do know my superpower is.
What's up?
My superpower, and I don't like to tell anybody, but I guess I'm telling everybody that's listening now. But one of my superpowers is I'm able to pick up on people's energy.
Ooh.
And it's weird sometimes, but I've always, ever since I was younger, I've always been able to pick up on energy. I don't know if that's a survival mechanism, survival thing for me, because my mom, I always have to be careful how you approach coming in the house and how my mom was going to react, or so I don't know if I picked that up because it was a way for me to survive and stay safe. But my superpower is definitely picking up on energy of folks, like knowing when somebody needs a hug, or like knowing when somebody needs me to check in on them, or knowing when maybe right now is not the time. It's different.
Intuition.
I can't really explain it.
No, it's kind intuition, empathy.
Yes.
Very empathy. Some people like to call themselves an empath. I'll be honest with you, I don't believe in none of that. I honestly, I don't believe in people being empaths, but I do believe in empathy. And I think everybody has the ability to be empathetic and in tune with the energy that's around them. Now,
if you pay attention.
Yeah, if you pay attention. That's exactly what I was about to say. Mm-hmm. If you pay attention. So it sounds to me like for you, that's exactly what it would be. But if somebody calls you an empath, question that. But
Will do.
Question that. But yes, that's that. But that's what it sounds like for you. All right.
Well, thank you.
Was there only one question? That was it?
Yeah. You want another?
I picked my own. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh, okay. All right. Pick a number.
Why not? I feel like I'm on a roll.
All right.
Dippity doo. Let's do the new one. 28.
Oh, this is perfect for you, actually.
Okay?
This is another one from you. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah. So just reading your bio, I was like, oh, this could be a question. So yes. Who is your favorite hip hop artist?
Ooh, wow. Oh, gosh. One? Damn. Okay, this is hard. This is probably harder than anything we've talked about this entire... Fuck, I gotta choose one. Okay, actually, I would say that my favorite rapper of all time, Nas.
Oh.
Yeah, Nas. I mean, when Illmatic came out, it like changed lives. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, remember the Source magazine? I think that was like the first. Yeah, that was the first album that actually got the 5 micer.
We telling our
every
age.
album up until that time was like, oh, I'll listen. 43 and I'm still doing my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first album to receive, the 5 micer, because most of them was like between 3, 4, 4.5. He was doing something. Illmatic came out 5. Everybody like, what? But yes. So Illmatic was just really, really something, and then Stillmatic came out some years later. But yeah, Illmatic like changed fucking everything for me, and I think I want to say I was probably about 15 or 16 when that.
Yeah, you about right, because we about the same age.
You're 40.
I'm 40. I'm 41.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to age you. My bad. You look good, though. Good. Hey, you look fantastic. Look at that smile. Hercules. You're cute. You know it. Anyway, go ahead.
Jay, I was going to say my favorite hip hop artist, and it's based on, so when I was younger, I couldn't listen to hip hop. So it was around that time, 14, 15, 16, where I started driving. And so Nas was one of them, but Jay-Z is my favorite hip hop artist. I had the cassette. That's what I rolled with in the car when I was picking up my friends. We was going to the football games, high school football games, all that. So that's why he became my favorite artist, because of that time and remembering. So yeah.
He was the one that actually just got me down the rabbit hole of listening to things that were not necessarily being played on the radio. Because Nas was being played on the radio, but it was really more like geographically. You would hear him on,
Yes.
Hot 97 in New York City, but you wouldn't hear no Nas on 92.3 The Beat in Los Angeles, California. Theo, the dude who had the voice, everybody thought Theo was black until we saw that this was a Filipino dude, and we was like, how? Anybody who knows what I'm talking about will remember 92.3 The Beat, and they will remember Theo and how the face crack of the century when we found out Theo was a Filipino dude.
Yeah.
But
So for
that's how
anybody that's
yes,
young and don't know, go look them
don't
up.
know. Yes.
Yes, because
Go
there are
absolutely
people
look
that
them
don't
up.
know who Nas is. Because I saw a thing on Instagram where they were showing old hip hop artists to younger folks, and they was like,
And
"Who
they
is
had no
that?" They
idea.
had no idea. I was so sad. I was so
Tragic.
sad.
If it's okay, I want to leave with some resources
Mm,
for people,
yes.
for those who are caregivers that are specifically in the caregivers community. There is a website called LGBTQ caregivers.org. So LGBTQ caregivers.org. And this is a really, really great website. It's great resources. It's pretty much like a one and all. It does provide advocacy specifically for LGBTQ caregivers and those who care for people who are LGBTQ people, to just improve everyone's health and well-being. So there are a lot of resources that are on this website. They are national, and I've got a lot of information from them. And the one that I'm really excited to share, because I feel like LGBTQ caregivers, they're so, sort of expansive. Probably the other resources that I have, you could probably find there. And if you can't, then I'll, tell you how you can get in touch with me directly, and I can direct you to wherever you want to go. I just found out about this 2 days ago, and I really love that this exists. And it's basically it's called T for T Caregiving, and what this is, it is it is an organization, and it specifically is a group of trans caregivers who care for people after their gender affirming care surgeries. So it's T for T caregiving.org. So they're traveling trans caregivers, and they're there to basically help you for after your post-op.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know that this existed until 3 days ago. And I'm actually
Wow.
in the process of getting in touch with them because I want to know more and how I can be involved, and or better yet, just how I can learn as much as I can so I can pass that information out. But they will help you find a place to stay, prepare your body back for surgery, do light housekeeping, go get your groceries for you, your medication reminders, and even drive you back to your appointment, your first checkup appointment.
Wow.
Your laundry, tidying, and they actually have a caregiving grant. So for anyone who cannot afford to pay, and the great thing I love about this is that they do prioritize Black and Indigenous, trans people of color to receive this grant. And so if you are a recipient of the grant, that means that you can take advantage of these services either completely free of charge or for a greatly reduced amount.
Wow.
And then that way you can have that extra boost of care that you need after your surgery to help you readjust to life after your most wonderful procedure. And it's also great to have someone there who is also trans, who is of the community, to be able to be there for you and help to take care of you. So if anybody needs that service or would just want to find out more about it, again, it's T4T, so T, the number 4, and T, caregivers.org. RG. And the last thing that I want to say to everybody is if you are a caregiver, radically take care of yourself, listen to your body, be there, continue to give your everything, but receive your everything. Rely on your village. There are people out there who want to help you. They want to do for you. They just don't know how. Tell them how. It could be an Amazon wish list. It can be, can you pick up some groceries? Can you go and do your loved ones' laundry? I've had to ask for that several times with my village. Or can you just give me a hug? Are you available to talk? I just need to cry. It can be so many things. But radically give to yourself and give yourself everything so that you can continue to give your everything to the person whom is in your care. Because again, they are blessed to have you. You are a blessing. Don't ever forget that. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. You are a blessing. Tell yourself that as many times as you need to. If you need me to tell you, you can find me on Instagram. My handle on Instagram is The Vibe Chronicles, and you'll be more than welcome to send me a message. You can reach out to me by email, thevibechronicles@gmail.com. If you just need an ear, if you need resources, if you need to know which online groups exist, if you need help finding an in-person caregiver support group in your area, I will be more than happy to assist you with that. If you just want to find out how to donate some coins to my pocket, email me. I'll be more than happy to give you the pay links. But in any case, I am here because we are a special tribe. We do sacred work, and it is sacred work. And we just need to know that we're not alone, and you're not. And I don't care if I don't know you. I don't care if I don't meet you. I don't care if I never see you in my life. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for taking care of your people. Thank you for taking care of your village. More importantly, thank you for letting your village take care of you. And they love you, and I love you too.
That was a nice note to leave off on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Once again, I'm your host. My name is Sean Aaron. Be sure to be sure to share this show out with folks in your networks. If you would like to connect with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also visit our website at dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. If you think you will make a great guest on the show, or maybe you have a question for myself or a future guest that you would like to hear answered on the show, please send an email to hello@dembois.org. That's HELLO@dembois.org. Until next time, take care.